Recently, I've been really interested in The Princess Bride. Ever since the movie came onto Disney Plus, I've been watching it like crazy, and I also read the book. This one, right here. And the book was good. Personally, I do like the movie better, but it was still a really fun book to read until I got to the ending. After that, it was just so much confusion. Because the movie only scratches the surface of the true ending of The Princess Bride, and oh man, I have a lot to tell you guys. But before we do that, I want you to understand a little bit of the background information to this story, specifically about who the author was and how he chose to write the book. William Goldman is the author of this story, and very much like the movie, he is constantly making interruptions as the author of the story. Or I should say as the adapter of the story. Originally, I thought that this guy, S. Morgenstern, was the original author of The Princess Bride and William Goldman was just an adapter. But then I found out I have messed up so badly. I thought that Morgenstern was a real guy. He's not. I can't believe this is happening right now. I feel so dumb. I should have realized. I read the whole book thinking that William Goldman was an adapter, and he's not. He actually wrote it. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm the only person in the world who didn't know that. Oh my gosh, it's so obvious now. To be fair, Goldman's interruptions were fiction presented as nonfiction, and I have a feeling that some of the things that he said about his life in the book actually did happen, just not all of it. Or maybe it was fiction with a little bit of truth in it, something like that. I don't know, but yeah. Also, Morgenstern's name is on the cover, so you automatically assume that this guy is real. But he's not. I could go on more about this subject, but everything that I have to say about it is pretty irrelevant to this video. But I do want to say that knowing the true author of The Princess Bride is pretty important to determining the true ending of the story. So there are 3 possible endings to this story, and I wanted to just give you an overall understanding of what each of them are and which one is relevant. The first ending is probably one that you're most familiar with, and that is the ending in the movie. The ending of the movie is in the book. The movie didn't change anything, it's just that the movie ending isn't the whole story. It ends right when all the good guys are riding off into the horizon, away from the castle and into their new life. This ending does not answer all of the questions, but it does leave you assuming that the answer to any of your questions that you have, the happiest answer is the one that is true. It leaves you assuming that they all lived happily ever after. For The Princess Bride, this is as good as that ending gets. I like this one. And when I reached that point in the book, I was like, oh, there you go, happy ending. And then I kept on reading. Which leads us to the second ending, the one I like to call the original ending. This is the one that Morgenstern supposedly wrote and Goldman adapted because he didn't like it. And I'm just going to read it to you because this ending is only a paragraph long, so here we go. From behind them suddenly, closer than they imagined, they could hear the roar of Humperdinck. Stop them! Cut them off! They were admittedly startled, but there was no reason for worry. They were on the fastest horses in the kingdom, and the lead was already theirs. However, this was before Inigo's wound reopened and Wesley relapsed again, and physic took the wrong turn, and the night behind them was filled with the crescendoing sound of pursuit. Yeah, that's how it ends. Thank you for coming. No, just kidding. It's basically the opposite of the movie ending because it just leaves you assuming all of the worst. When I was researching the ending for this story, I reread this passage over and over again, plus the pages directly before and directly after it. And I began to wonder, is this ending even canon? Now, the phrase canon does get thrown around a lot, so I just want to clarify what it actually means. The definition of canon is a material accepted as officially part of the story that it associates itself with. So when I asked myself this, I was wondering if this ending was actually what happened to the characters. And for a while, I was saying no. Actually, I thought it was a joke. The Princess Bride has some weird humor, and I thought that this weird humor was just making another appearance. But also, as a reader and as a writer, I found it hard to believe that this was the ending. It just didn't fit. I know that real life isn't always happy endings, but stories are. This is highly debatable, but stories don't end like this. Sure, there are stories that don't have an ideal ending, but all stories have a happy ending, a good ending, where the main character learns something and is better off in some way than he was at the beginning of the story. In my opinion, that's how good writing works. Endings like this one are not good. I'm sorry, they're just not. Unless that's not the true ending. Unless there's a sequel. And The Princess Bride has just that. When I discovered that there was a continuation to the initial story, I figured that, yeah, this original ending is canon. But before we go into this, I want to say that even though the sequel is only a chapter long and can be found in the back of the actual Princess Bride book, a lot happens. And I'm not going to tell you all of it because a lot of the things that happen are irrelevant to the point of this video. If you are curious, however, by all means go read it yourself. Although, fair warning, it's not for kids. So if you're under 18, just wait to read it. I know I'm under 18, but I was not expecting it to be as mature as it was. But anyway, it does continue the story and the cliffhanger gets resolved. So as you'll remember, the book ends with Humperdinck catching up to them and everyone's kind of falling apart and it looks like all is lost, but lo and behold, you're never gonna believe me, Wesley's pirates swoop in and save the day, bringing all of the protagonists back to the pirate ship and making a getaway because pirates are cool like that. I've been telling you guys this for years. So then the pirates drop them off on this island where Buttercup has a baby who is captured by this madman. Then Physic chases the madman up this mountain, corners the madman, and the madman throws the baby off the cliff and Physic jumps down after the baby to save her. I kid you not, that's what happened. Then they never reach the ground in the story. It ends before they do, but the chapter is called Physic Dies, so I'm guessing that's what happens. Even though the cliffhanger in the original story gets resolved, I think that this ending is even worse than the last one. It introduces a ton of concepts very last minute, and then it just ends. There's no continuation at all. The whole sequel is very oddly paced, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, I'm not even going to go into detail about the weirdest and most off-topic things, which I'm not even going to bother mentioning because they were so out there. And when I finished reading it, I asked myself again, is this canon? And I think that if the original ending to The Princess Bride is canon, then the sequel is also canon. But also, I'd rather have neither one of them be the actual ending and just have the movie ending be the actual ending. In conclusion, you know what? Just believe what you want on this topic. I don't think that knowledge of this ending ruins the rest of the story. It's just there. It just exists. Unlike Morgenstern. Oh gosh.